Good morning, everyone. Leaders of the central banks that are represented here this morning, hub operators, and other organizations that are doing a lot of work in the payment space domestically. A warm welcome to Nairobi. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. And all our visitors as well from outside of Nairobi, karibuni sana. As just been said, my name is Gituku Kirika, and I have the pleasure of leading a company that goes by three different names with its integrated payment services, which is a bit of a mouthful. There's IPSL, but we probably prefer just a simple one, which is PesaLink, which happens to be our brand name for the services that we offer today. So I'd just like to first give you a bit of a background about who we are, what we do, and what mission we're on in this both in the payment space. And I'll then like to talk to you about what we're doing in the world of digital public infrastructure. How we're evolving to be a digital public infrastructure contributor, and where we need to work together to ensure that this infrastructure is world-class, inclusive, and interoperable. So PesaLink is an organization that has been around since 2017. We were founded by Kenya Bankers Association, so we're fully owned by the Kenya Bankers Association. We are a private entity. We have a board, an independent board that has got representation from the banking sector, about 10-man and woman board. We have 4 representatives from the banking sector. We have 4 independents as well, and the CEO of Kenya Bankers Association and the CEO of IPSL. We believe that people want to transact with anyone from anywhere and at any time. And we'd like to see PesaLink becoming an open and interoperable, inclusive instant payments network. Right? When our story is written, right, we want that to be one of the universal payment network, facilitating the reliable and affordable movement of funds and data to anyone, anywhere, and anytime. And for us, affordability is a very, very big part of what we truly believe in. The banking sector, set up to establish PesaLink, not so much because of what we were seeing in mobile money. So PesaLink was established about 7 years after mobile money took root in Kenya. But I keep saying, even without what we've seen in mobile money in these parts of the world, which is great, mobile money is great for us. This would have, in any case, been born because of the consumer's need to want to transact more efficiently and faster, not just in the mobile money space, but in any other store of value that they hold. And so, whereas we were established by the Kenya Bankers Association and therefore by the banking sector, we today have connected to not just bank accounts, but we are connected to SACCOs, that's savings and credit cooperatives. We also have fintech wallets as part of the stores of value that we power, and we also power in the telco world. So in Kenya we have 3 key telcos. That's T-Cash, which is owned by Telcom. We have Safaricom, which we all know, a lot of us know, M-Pesa, and also Airtel Money, which are the 3 key mobile money operators. So we have one of those, that's Telcom, is also integrated to to PesaLink. And with that, what we're able to deliver for them is the ability to access the entire stores of value that we power, all through one connection. Instant payments is growing extremely fast in Kenya. Last year we saw 60% growth in instant payment volumes, right? And that is predominantly account-to-account transfers. And several benefits come with that. There's improved cash flows for businesses, for consumers, reduced costs of getting things done, right? Moving away from traditional modes of payment, particularly in the banking sector. Makes life simpler, process simplification, And also, if you think about in the business space, it'll lead to a lot of vendor confidence. If I'm a business and I'm not saying, let's wait for checks to clear, or let's wait for payment to go through in a couple of days, particularly over a weekend like Easter coming up. Also, what we have found is that, so today we power an account to account. Our proposition is really today's account to account, and we're looking to expand that to power more use cases, particularly person to merchant payments and agent cash in, cash out. We went live on our platform with person to merchant payments end of last year, and we are now working with entities that are integrated to us to go live on person to merchant networks, person to merchant payments. We will be working on agent cash in, cash out as well, and look to have that as well as a use case that we're powering towards middle of this year. Therefore, if you look at the African ENDA State of Instant Inclusive Payment Systems report for last year, you will find that Kenya as a country was not listed and was not ranked. And that might sound very strange in a country that is leading and doing great things in mobile money. But there are things that we need to address. We need to address interoperability. We need to address additional use cases for an organization such as ours. And one of the things that I really find strange and which we really need to work on is change in consumer behavior. We power an instant payments network across banks. However, the payments that we power are still half of what we see going through the EFT network in this country. They are half of what we see in checks, right? And they're almost just the same as what you see with real-time gross settlement. So yeah, instant payment network, but not yet punching at the level that we expect, but with a 60% growth, we are the fastest growing rails, and we expect that to carry on. So that's just a little bit about us, about PesaLink, and allow me then to talk about something that we've become very passionate about, and why we are evolving then to become a core piece of it, and this is digital public infrastructure. Now, the concept of DPI has gained significant global attention, and I know a number of us are quite familiar with digital public infrastructure, but just allow me to speak to it for those who may not be as exposed to it. So at the core of digital public infrastructure is really three things: identity, data, and payments. And just to put that very simply, if we, during, unfortunately, when the whole world, suffered COVID calamity, countries that had already done a lot of work in this area were very quickly able to support their citizens. With data on people, with identity sorted out, you knew who is where, you knew what their age group is, you knew something about their health situation. And you were therefore able to intervene relatively fast, particularly when it comes to aid that is will be delivered through payments, and you've got a good payments infrastructure in place as well. You'd be able to intervene pretty fast. Now, at the core of DPI is with data comes a lot of concerns around privacy, and it's very important then that you have you ensure that the data subjects have full control of their data, personal data, and they're therefore able to give consent to who has that data. So my health data, who is it shared with? My financial data, who does it get shared with? But this really, if you think about it, is the core of digital public infrastructure. Digital identity. Identity, data, and payments. And the Global South is leading on DPI. There was some consensus around what DPI is. This took place at the G20 leaders declaration last year. DPI is being touted as a key contributor to the UN sustainable goals, 17 of them actually. And from that, what arose out of that is finally some consensus around what DPI really is. And arising from that was a playbook on DPI. So if you look at digital public infrastructure, it's all about enabling that. First of all, you're in a digital space. Everything you're doing is paperless. You're embracing digital systems. And from a public perspective, there's governance, very good governance, there's public trust, and also there's digital public good. We've got everything we've got to be doing. It should not just be about a return on our bottom lines. And from an infrastructure perspective, it's all about then enabling national scale, make sure we have the right building blocks in place, and an ecosystem that is both driven by public and private sector. Why is digital public infrastructure then important for PesaLink? Why then are we embracing digital public infrastructure? Like I mentioned earlier on, at PesaLink, we believe in moving funds and data to anyone, anywhere, at any time, and that ties in very well with digital public infrastructure. And that's, we would be solving for consumers challenges that they have today, having to work from, move and operate from one ecosystem to another, and address issues to do with costs as well and friction. And so we believe that the industry needs to build for scale, reduce costs, and the complexity that comes with an ecosystem that's not fully interoperable or does not embrace digital public infrastructure principles. We also believe that there's a role for us to play in fostering first innovation, delivering on more use cases, and lowering barriers to entry. And all these will support the problems that today exist with participants who are playing in the payment space. But interoperability and inclusivity needs open and inclusive rails, and that's what we totally focus on. As you've just seen, I've just mentioned that the global is an area that the global South is leading on. So what's our progress to date, and where do we need to work together to ensure that infrastructure is world-class, inclusive, and interoperable? So arising from the G20 UNDP DPI playbook, there are three principles that are outlined there. One is technology, the other is ecosystems, and the third is governance. And just like to talk about where we are in each of this, and where we can also continue to work together to truly achieve digital public infrastructure by abiding by the principles and the definition that's been set out. So from a technology perspective, we need to have resilient and capable technology that's evolving to meet the needs at massive scale. So from an interoperability perspective, PesaLink today is accessible through open APIs. And we've also adopted ISO 20022, which, as we know, is the global open standard, the standard for instant payments. From a regulatory perspective, I think right across the continent and across the world, I think mandating of interoperability and first payments, and also supporting more use cases to be opened up, I think is something that, from a regulatory perspective, could be extremely beneficial. Security and privacy is very critical in terms of building up DPI. And this is an area that we continue to invest in a market like this. We've now have a Data Protection Act, which payment participants are all looking to embrace and to put frameworks around it. And so there's need for continuous investment as an industry right across the continent on ensuring that there's security and privacy around everything that we're doing in payments. From an ecosystem perspective, there's three key things that are critical there: collaboration, inclusivity, and human rights. From a collaboration perspective, at PesaLink, we do today have up to 60 participants integrated to our network. That's the 41 banks, just one more to go. We have 41 banks. We have SACCOs, like I mentioned, the telco, and a lot the others are PSPs and fintech players. And so it's very important that, as you build digital public infrastructure, you're able to embrace all the participants in the space that you're playing in from a geographic perspective. And inclusivity is critical, and that means that we build through an approach that is open by design, and as you're building solutions as well, from a human rights perspective, it's very important to have a human-centered design approach. And from this, we believe that there's a lot of work there's a lot of work that the industry needs to embrace, and also regulators in ensuring that everything that we build embraces data protection principles and laws that exist at a domestic level. From a governance perspective, policy frameworks for the system to be inclusive and secure are critical. And two things here come to, that are key is public benefit, trust and transparency, and grievance redress mechanisms. In this part of the world, we are governed under the National Payment Systems Act, which is typically all payments participants outside of the banking sector. And so having the right governance framework, again, is crucially important in delivering a digital public infrastructure that the public will trust and will be comfortable with their funds and data being processed. Grievance redress mechanisms, this is things a challenge right across the world in terms of how we manage disputes, and gain confidence of the public. Just on Friday, there was a key ruling in this country with respect to disputes, and banks now being told that they're going to be held accountable for transactions or disputes emanating from flow of funds from mobile money networks to bank accounts. This hopefully will spur the industry, at least in this part of the world, to implement services such as confirmation of payee names, which we've seen is law in some parts of the world, and that then, coupled with governance redress mechanism, will help with terms of building public trust and also transparency in how issues are resolved when they arise. So this is an area that I think a lot of work is required to standardize and automate grievance redress mechanisms, and it's again an area that, as industry and regulators, really need to play a part in to make that a reality. So what should be our overarching goals from all this? Building DPI domestically. I think that's something that we all need to work together on, share ideas, share the journeys that we are on. And today and this week, I think, is a great forum for that. And I think we all really need to embrace the building of DPI domestically in each of our domestic markets. We should also promote it as well. Whenever we have forums like this, ability to talk to industry influencers, industry shapers, I think it's a message that we need to all keep talking about. Like I mentioned, the Global South is leading in this way, and I think this would be very critical for Africa as well. And then there's enabling of interoperability across borders. Right, and if we can follow the same blueprint, a very similar blueprint around building digital public infrastructure in each domestic markets, then interoperability across borders becomes more and more of a reality. And with standardization of how we are doing things, then I think that will be a barrier then that will be able to cross quite easily. So thank you very much for listening to me, and we hope that you'll join us on this journey of building DPI.